Today we're going to be ranking every single MAKI bloodline from worst to best. So if you guys enjoyed this video, or if you just want to see the videos in the future, like, subscribe with notifications on, ring that bell, comment below what your favorite MAKI in this game is, and let's get right into the video. Alright, so coming in 11th place is going to be Azarashi. Now, Azarashi itself doesn't have MAKI in the name, but it is sort of connected to the rest of the bloodlines, so I'll just throw it in here real quick just in case you guys want to know about Azarashi. Now, I'm going to be real here, Azarashi is really not anything special. It did actually receive a rework now, so it is pretty good for M1 combos because a lot of the moves just combo into one another. A lot of the moves just, it's basically an M1 combo based bloodline. There's not really much else to say other than that. It is like a really decent bloodline for M1 combos. Like you guys can see, I'm just kind of like chaining the abilities. I'm not doing it very well, but the bloodlines are right for M1 combos. It doesn't really have anything else going for it other than M1 combos, but you know, for what it is, it's an extremely common bloodline. It's pretty decent. Now coming to 10th place is actually going to be the Mensa bloodline. Now Mensa actually did get reworked recently. By recently, I mean like near the end of when they started updating the game again. So a lot of the moves, I mean, they're okay. Like Mensa itself is an okay EKG. People actually used to use Mensa for the first move because basically it attacked them, they got knocked back, and then you would run into them again, and it would give you a type of stun ability. Like Mensa is very okay. If you fight someone that knows how to use the first move correctly, it's extremely annoying to fight because you get knocked back, and then if you don't immediately counter or block, you're going to get knocked back again. And the other moves of Mensa, while they are kind of trash, if I'm going to be honest, they're okay enough that I do feel like it's better than Azarashi overall. But if you're looking for purely M1 combos, I would definitely stick to Azarashi because Mensa, yeah, there's not really much to say about this bloodline. It used to be really good, now it's kind of trash. So coming in 9th place is going to be my bloodline in the game. You heard that correctly. I actually do own a bloodline in Shindo Life, MAKI. Now, the reason why you never see me using this bloodline unless I'm just wanting to use my bloodline, this bloodline is trash. So they of course buffed MAKI. Like MAKI received a massive buff, and it's still really not that great. So the M1s don't knock back anymore. So if you stack MAKI with M1s that do more damage, like let me show you this real quick. Like let's equip Toad Spirit real quick, just to show you guys like the M1 stacking. So if you stack it with M1s, oh, that it doesn't work. I think they changed it so that doesn't work anymore. But the M1s do a lot of damage as well with the burn, so it's just like they're good M1s now. I am of course like kind of tooting my own horn. The mode is the best ability of MAKI. Like the mode is actually pretty decent, as I'll show you. But the first ability is a place lock stun. It doesn't last long enough to be worth using. Like I think that it's one of the shortest place lock stuns in the entire game. When you cast it when you're far away from somebody, if they walk inside of it, it will stun them. Like if the place lock stun was longer, it would be great, but the day of MAKI has passed. It's not getting any more changes. The second ability is a hair grab ability. The AoE size of it has actually been buffed, and the stun time of it actually has been buffed, so you could do some pretty insane M1 combos with this bloodline. That's actually how I use this bloodline, because the M1 combos you could do with this bloodline, especially after the rework, are insane. The third ability was reworked, so it's a lot faster than it used to be, and the toads are a guaranteed block break when they go off. Plus, it does have a longer stun attached to it. Now, I'm pretty sure the C spec is a pretty good ability. Yup, because it's a dash ability that allows you to combo afterwards. Now, it's funny to say this, by the way. It's really funny to say this. The best ability of MAKI is the weapon spec. You basically ride a toad, and it is an iframe ability. It's like old 6-path MAKI second ability. So, it's just an instantaneous iframe ability, which is funnily enough the best move of MAKI. But yeah, like I said, you can do M1 combos with this bloodline. Like, you do this, and then you hair grab them. You do it again, and then you M1 combo them again, and then you go into the first move, and then you M1 combo them again. That's pretty much just like the entire combo of MAKI. You can add more like M1 combo centers into it. It's pretty decent for that, but otherwise MAKI's pretty trash. Yeah, let's head on to the next one. Now coming in 8th place is actually going to be MAKI. I'm of course using MAKI Ruby the skin, just because I do like the skin more than any of the other moves. Now MAKI is pretty bad. Like the M1s teleporting you are not really that great. They do a lot of damage though, as you guys can see, and it also drains chi from them if that's something you want to do. Nobody really ever uses MAKI anymore because a lot of the moves just really aren't that great, if I'm going to be honest. Like, they're pretty much just worse versions of other moves. MAKI had a second there that it was like really good for because the first move used to teleport you over a much longer distance, and the third move used to do like 180k damage in mode. Now, obviously, all of these were nerfed, so MAKI really isn't that good anymore, but I do think it has enough. It's good enough that it's not going to be last place in this tier list because I'm gonna be honest, the Maki set of bloodlines are probably the weakest set of bloodlines in the entire game, and if it wasn't for like a few of the bloodlines being insanely good, then the Maki bloodline would be by far the weakest. But I do think that, I think Jokai overall is stronger. I'm trying to think. Like, I think Maki is the weakest bloodline set, if I'm gonna be honest. Now, coming to 7th place is actually gonna be Kamaki. Now, Kamaki itself is kind of like bad now that there's like a lot of other bloodlines in the game, because the main reason why people used to use Kamaki was for the second move, which was a 5-second cooldown ability that actually is overall one of the highest damage abilities in the game, but they nerfed the cooldown a little bit, so it's not as good as it used to be. Plus, like, the whole teleporting to your cubes thing, it used to be insanely overpowered because breakaways used to not be a thing in the game, right? So basically what would happen was that this basically functioned as a breakaway move. So if you're getting comboed, you could click on a cube, and even if you're getting attacked, it would teleport you out. So you just would have to remember to use the ability, and it would be a free escape. It still is extremely good for that reason, which is why it's going to be in 7th place. But other than that, Kamaki is honestly kind of trash. Like, the first move, I mean, the M1s are, I think it's basically just like Jin Shiki mode, if I'm not mistaken. It spawns cubes that come down. I mean, it's all right. And then you obviously have the first move, which is a click ability. And then you have the third move, which is a counter ability. Also, if you click on somebody, it spawns a cube and allows you to M1 them if you want. Like, I think Jin Shiki... Oh, I just voice cracked. I think Jin Shiki mode is actually pretty decent for bosses. Like, I think it's an okay EK... Not okay EKG. An okay PvE, like, kind of like Bloodline mode. But Jin Shiki mode is way better for PvE content. Like, I do still use that sometimes for that. The main move of Kamaki you're going to be using is the second one. But you have to be extremely skilled at the game to use it properly. So yeah, don't touch Kamaki unless you know what you're doing. Now, coming to 6th place is going to be 6-path Naramaki. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really liked this bloodline. I honestly think that this is one of the coolest looking bloodlines in the game, because you get this stance, you got these balls. Like, I used to use this bloodline mode for so many of my thumbnails because I thought it looked so cool. Now, of course, 6-path Naramaki, it still has like the buffed M1s it used to have. The F spec is a throwing ability. It does about 60k damage. The C spec of 6-path Naramaki is it does a lot of damage, just like 50k. It used to do more. The weapon spec of 6-path Naramaki is a counter ability, probably the best move of the mode. It's like an 80k damage counter, so it's pretty good for actual counters, but nobody ever uses for the mode. So if you guys are unaware, this bloodline used to have the biggest hitboxes in the entire game. So the second move, it still has a massive hitbox. Like, you guys can see, I wasn't even close to him. Basically, the second move used to be able to hit somebody when, like, you were like, imagine me to this tree. I would be this far away and it would hit them. Like, it used to have a bugged hitbox that made the AoE massive, so like, they didn't know when it was going to hit them. The first move is pretty similar to like all the other dash moves that are like this, like Boramaki Gaiden. It's just kind of like a counter ability. Like, the basic combo with this, when they don't get knocked down, is to do the first ability into the second one. It looks like it's bugged, so the last damage ability, it doesn't do damage anymore. And of course, the best ability of it actually got nerfed. So the third move of this bloodline got nerfed. It used to be, I'm pretty sure it's not an iframe anymore. It used to be an iframe. It used to block break, so it was a really good combo starter. Basically, you would use it in the middle of their combo if they left a gap. Immediately click with it, and then it would stun them or block break them and allow you to do your own combo. That's the reason why 6-path Naramaki used to be so god tier. I still think this bloodline is good enough to warrant it being halfway up the tier list, because I still really like this bloodline. I just don't really use it that much anymore, just because there's just much better bloodlines in the game that do the same exact thing, but better. I still think it's one of the coolest bloodlines in the game, and I really do still like it. Now, coming to 5th place is actually going to be Boramaki. Now, Boramaki itself really is not that great of a bloodline, just because a lot of the moves, like the first move, you used to be able to duplicate moves with it, which is why it was so good. I mean, like, the third move is just counter. Like, if you use the third move with somebody, you're just gonna get countered, by the way, so I recommend never doing that. Like, a lot of the moves themselves are really trash. Like, they're really not that great. It doesn't even have buffed M1s or anything like that. The third mode is, of course, better than the rest of the Boramaki moves, but nobody uses Boramaki for the mode or the abilities. The main reason why Boramaki is going to be in 5th place is because it has one of the best pull abilities in the game. So when you click on somebody's an instantaneous pull, it's a really great pull ability because it's instant. There's no hand signs attached to it. They added hand signs to a lot of the pull or dash moves. So the fact it has no hand signs definitely makes the bloodline itself really good. And of course, the move also has iframes, just like Ryan Ren's iframe move. They're very similar. If you miss your target though, and you click somewhere else, it will spawn a portal, which makes the move significantly worse. So you have to have good aim, but it also is an iframe, so you do have to keep that in mind. Boramaki second is definitely the best move of the bloodline. Now, coming to 4th place is actually going to be Minakaze. Now, Minakaze, I talked to you about this before. It is a must-have bloodline if you don't really have any other bloodlines, because the bloodline itself combos with subjutsus. Like, you can use the first move with, like, reworked Senko Bomb and stuff like that. But the main reason why Minakaze is actually going to be here is because of the 2nd and 3rd move. I still think, honestly, the 2nd and 3rd move are, like, some of the best abilities in the game comboed together, because it's a free combo. Minakaze 3rd is still one of the most used abilities in the game, because it sometimes outlasts auto dodges. It's just a really good ability and easy to integrate into combos. Like, Minakaze 3rd, you still see, like, literally everywhere. So just for that, I'm going to be putting Minakaze in 4th place. Now, coming in 3rd place is going to be Kamaki Akuma. Kamaki Akuma, probably one of the coolest bloodlines in the entire game, because it's one of the only bloodlines that give you a half Susanoo, while, like, it's one of the only bloodlines that actually does this, where you could turn into this. Like, this is awesome, man. I feel like I'm literally in Naruto right now. It's a great 2nd mode, just for that, in all honesty. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, the C spec of Kamaki Akuma is also pretty decent. It does a lot of damage, it stuns for a pretty long time, and dude, I keep voice cracking. One of the best abilities of Kamaki Akuma is the counter, because it actually stacks based on how many times they hit you. Like, you guys can see how long it lasted there. It does not end when they hit you. So if they hit you with a multiple abilities, and you use this, they will get hit by the counter multiple times. So if someone uses something like, let's say someone uses something that hits you a bunch of times, like somebody uses Boramaki Gaiden counter on you. If you use this counter, it will continue hitting them for as long as the balls are hitting you, as long as your counter is active. Now, the draw off for this effect is actually that it doesn't stun them. It's one of the only non-stun counters in the entire game. Of course, it's also worth saying that Kamaki Akuma has pretty decent abilities as well. Like, the abilities do a ton of damage. They're just really good overall. But the main move of people use is, of course, the absolutely broken 3rd ability of Kamaki Akuma, which is pretty much just, it's just a really great ability. Like, it's an instantaneous dash stun ability that just overall does a lot of damage. All of the moves will combo with each other quite nicely. There's not much else to say about Kamaki Akuma. Now, coming to 2nd place is going to be Getsuga. Now, Getsuga obviously is an EKG, which instantly makes it better than a lot of the other bloodlines, just because the fact is that EKG means you can combine it with other bloodlines and not really miss out on anything, unless you like using other EKGs. You obviously do have the mode, which is just, it's a hyper armor mode that gives you damage resistance. The main move of this bloodline that people use is the first one. It's an EKG move that stuns them for a significant period of time, place lock stun in a single location. So it is a really strong move. Now, the other moves of Getsuga are really not that great. Like, you could sometimes use the 3rd move just for damage, because it also drains chi, it gives you chi back, gives mode. So it's just really, like, the bloodline overall really is not that great. But of course, the mode is pretty decent if you're actually looking for that type of mode. And the first ability is absolutely godlike. Like, it is probably the best EKG move in the entire game, if I'm going to be honest. Now, coming to 1st place is going to be Boramaki Gaiden. I'm not going to talk all that much about Boramaki Gaiden, just because I've talked a lot about this bloodline already in my previous videos. So if you want a more in-depth discussion on this bloodline, just check those out. Of course, this is an EKG, so it's extremely easy to integrate into your combos. A lot of the moves actually combo into one another, so you could just chain the abilities. The M1s also do a decent amount of damage. They do 4k damage, and of course they do knock back, but they don't knock back far enough that you can't do the entire combo. The 3rd move is a click ability. Honestly, the worst ability of Boramaki Gaiden is the 3rd one. You obviously do have the mode abilities, so you have that. You have the weapon spec, which is one of the best counter abilities in the game, because it has such a low cooldown after the ability ends, and it will chase them down infinitely. You cannot run away from it. So, I mean, like, overall, Boramaki Gaiden is a really good bloodline. The F spec, the weapon spec is good. The first 2 abilities of it are good. It is easily one of the best bloodlines in the game. There's not really much else to say other than that. Anyways, guys, that's actually going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this MAKI tier list, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hope to see you next one, guys. Peace.